Hello and welcome to the Church of All Saints in Nocton, Lincolnshire. Now this is the work of Sir George Gilbert Scott. Yes, the very same. If you're uncertain, Google him. It's a surprisingly lavish Victorian church with rich furnishings. And look at this tower, much spatial ingenuity was applied to it at the expense possibly of the rest. It's got an octagonal stair bulge pressed into it with its door in a wall buttress which widens to accommodate it. This building took the place of a poor church built by George Hobart, who had pulled down the old one because it was far too near the hall for his liking. Built of Ancaster stone, it really is probably one of the most sumptuous modern churches in Lincolnshire. The spire is 130 feet high. The church was built by George Gilbert Scott in 1862 for the Countess of Ripon in memory of her husband, the first Earl, and we'll see his tomb shortly. In the porch here we've got the niched figures of the Madonna and Child, St. Peter and St. Paul and John the Baptist and John the Evangelist. When the Domesday Book was compiled in 1086, Nocton housed about 38 families and already possessed a priest and a church. A later squire of Nocton, George Herbert, who was the third Earl of Buckinghamshire, was a raffish character who made Nocton Hall famous for plays and lavish parties. His wife, Lady Albania, once pawned Nocton to pay for her gambling bets. George's eldest son, Robert Hobart, 4th Earl, is commemorated in the church, and he became colonial secretary, and Hobart, capital of Tasmania, is named after him. Under the tower was a pompous 17th century monument which is now no longer with us. As we wander around this church, you will see that its enrichment continuously falls into sentimentality in many ways. Yes, it is colourful. Yes, it is jaw-dropping and eye-squintingly opening. But at the same time, it's got a certain, I don't want to say it, but a certain cheapness to it. There are certain parts of it, look at the candelabra, which are really beautiful. But there is a lot to be desired here. If you want to see the interior with capitals with full-blown roses drooping sorrowfully or birdies pecking at grapes, then this is the place for you. There's lots of alabaster scenery around the chancel, including pierced pinnacles, plentiful incised pictures on walls in rose and tan. More unusual are the paintings on the west wall of the nave, graphic illustrations of the Israelites entering the promised land, the Egyptians drowning in the Red Sea, and Noah with his family, and the animals going into the ark, 2 by 2, goats, asses, rabbits, and snakes among them. Here is a very grand pulpit. This is a pulpit of stone and marble. These walls are adorned with sacred subjects. In the chancel are canopied paintings of apostles and evangelists, each with his own symbol, and over the chancel arch here, look, Christ appears in glory with a great company of kneeling angels and saints. This church is a good test case for your own feelings of what you feel the Victorians did to the interiors of our churches. In order to like it, you must become a bit thick-skinned. The reredos is made from alabaster by Italian craftsmen and shows under 3 gilded arches Christ carrying the cross. I know I've been less than favourable with this church, and I have to admit that it's probably one of the finest and least altered Victorian churches in England. Now, like I said, I think these brass candlesticks and the altar rail here are good, in that they are not complex, unlike the majority of the rest of the building. This altar tomb of Carrara marble, bearing the figure of the Prime Minister in a long robe, his hands folded, his fine features in repose. Prime Minister of this country between the years 1827 and 28. It is said that he was judged perhaps the weakest Premier to whom a sovereign of England ever entrusted office. Well, I can think of a few more recent ones. Thank you for watching this film of the Church of All Saints in Nocton, Lincolnshire.